Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the New Horizon and watched the stars pass by. His ship carried 3,000 human families to their new home on Haven Prime. Men, women, and children slept in their cabins, dreaming of fresh air and open fields. The journey would take another week. The communication panel beeped. Jake walked over and pressed the button. A face appeared on the screen. The woman had blue skin and 4 eyes. She wore the uniform of the Galactic Council Security Forces. "Captain Morrison, this is Commander Lisa Brooks," she said. "We have an emergency." Jake knew Brooks. She was good at her job and did not waste time on small problems. "What happened?" "The Crimson Dawn pirates took a ship," Brooks said. "They have 500 Zenithian civilians. They want money and the release of their captured friends." Jake felt his jaw tighten. The Crimson Dawn was known across the galaxy. They killed without reason and took pleasure in causing pain. Every space captain knew their red ships and feared them. "Which ship did they take?" Jake asked. "The Star of Peace. It was carrying diplomats and their families to the trade talks on Kepler Station." Jake knew that ship. It had no weapons and no shields. The Zenithians built it for peace, not war. They painted it white and covered it with symbols of friendship. Now it was in the hands of killers. "The Council is calling an emergency meeting," Brooks said. "We need human representatives for the negotiations." Jake stared at her. "Negotiations?" "Yes, the pirate leader is Vexthul. He wants 10 million credits in rare metals and the freedom of 23 pirates we caught last month. If we give him what he wants, he will release the hostages." Jake felt something cold in his stomach. "You want to pay them?" Brooks looked confused. "Of course. This is standard procedure. We save lives first, then we deal with the criminals later. Have you tried this before? Many times it works. Most hostages survive when we negotiate." Jake turned away from the screen. He thought about the families on his ship. He thought about his own daughter back on Earth. What would happen to her if killers learned they could take children and get paid for it? "Captain Morrison?" Brooks said. "Will you help us?" Jake turned back to the screen. "No," Brooks blinked all 4 eyes. "Excuse me?" "We do not make deals with killers. But the hostages will die. Then they die. But we will not teach murderers that taking innocent people is profitable." Brooks leaned forward. "Captain, I understand your anger, but we must be practical. 500 lives are at stake." Jake reached for the communication controls. "Commander Brooks, let me be clear. If you pay these pirates, you will have more hostages next week. If you set their friends free, you will have more attacks next month. Humans do not negotiate with terrorists." Before Brooks could respond, Jake cut the connection. He immediately opened a channel to Earth Command. The face of Admiral Chris Hudson appeared on the screen. Hudson was a hard man with gray hair and scars from the Outer Colony Wars. "Admiral, we have a situation." Jake explained everything. Hudson listened without speaking. When Jake finished, the Admiral was quiet for a long moment. "The Council wants to pay them," Hudson said finally. "Yes, sir. And they want our help." "Yes, sir." Hudson stood up from his chair. "Send this message to all human ships in the sector. Any vessel harboring Crimson Dawn pirates is to be considered hostile. No warnings, no mercy, no negotiations." Jake felt a smile touch his lips. "What about the Council?" "The Council can do what they want with their own ships. But human vessels follow human rules." The communication ended. Jake turned to his first officer, Lieutenant Amy Foster. She had been listening to everything. "Set course for the Broken Stars Nebula," Jake said. "Maximum speed." "Sir, that is where the pirates hide." "I know." Amy looked worried. "The Council will not like this. The Council has spent 200 years teaching criminals that kidnapping pays well. We are going to teach them something different." Jake walked to the weapons console. The New Horizon was not a warship, but it had defensive guns and good shields. More importantly, it had a human crew. The communication panel beeped again. This time it was Dr. Elena Rodriguez from the Galactic Council. Her face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired and stressed. "Jake, what are you doing?" "My job, Elena. The Council is very upset. They say you refused to help with the negotiations." "That is correct." Elena rubbed her forehead. "The other species think we are being cruel. They say we care more about principles than lives." Jake looked at her. Elena was a good woman and a skilled diplomat. She had spent 10 years trying to make peace between humans and the rest of the galaxy, but she did not understand this situation. "Elena, how many ships has the Crimson Dawn taken this year?" 17. "How many hostages?" "Almost 3,000. How many ransoms has the council paid? Elena was quiet. How many, Elena? All of them, she said softly. And how many ships did they take last year? 15. The year before? 12, Jake nodded. Do you see the pattern? Every time you pay, they take more ships. Every time you negotiate, they get bolder. But if we do not pay, the hostages die. Some will die, yes. But if we stop paying, future hostages will live. We cannot save these 500 by dooming the next 3,000. Elena looked sad. The other council members will not understand. Then explain it to them. Tell them that humans believe some things are more important than survival. Tell them we would rather die than live in a galaxy where evil is rewarded. Jake, please. There must be another way. Jake looked at his crew. They were all watching him. They all knew what this meant. If they refused to negotiate, people would die. But if they did negotiate, more people would die later. There is another way, Jake said. We kill every pirate in the galaxy. Elena's eyes went wide. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious. The Crimson Dawn has chosen to be our enemy. We will treat them as such. Jake ended the communication. He turned to Amy. How long until we reach the nebula? 6 hours, sir. Good. Send a message to all ships in the area. Any human vessel that finds Crimson Dawn pirates should destroy them immediately. Amy hesitated. Sir, what about the hostages on the Star of Peace? Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere in the darkness, 500 innocent people were afraid and alone. They were counting on the galaxy to save them. But the galaxy had taught their captors that taking hostages was a good business. We will save who we can, Jake said, but we will not reward their kidnappers. The New Horizon flew through space toward the pirate stronghold. Behind it, the council called emergency meetings and sent angry messages. Ahead of it, the Crimson Dawn waited with their hostages and their demands. The galaxy was about to learn that humans did not believe in acceptable losses. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. Around her, representatives from 47 different species argued in loud voices. The air smelled of anger and fear. The humans have lost their minds, said Ambassador Zeppelin. The Altarian was tall and graceful, with silver skin that shimmered in the light. They refused to save innocent lives. Councillor Kickstar of the Vorthan Empire stood up. His people were known for their logic and cold reasoning. I have studied the data. In the past 50 years, negotiations have saved 89.7% of all hostages. Violence saves only 23.4%. Elena listened to them argue. She understood their anger. To most species in the galaxy, the choice was simple. Pay the ransom and save lives. Fight the pirates and watch innocents die. But humans saw it differently. Dr. Rodriguez, said Ambassador Kretak. The Mollusk Collective representative looked like a giant octopus with golden skin. Your species must reconsider. Every hour of delay costs lives. Elena stood up. The hall became quiet. All eyes turned to her. My friends, she said, I understand your concerns, but you must understand ours. Every time we pay pirates, we make piracy more attractive. Every ransom we give creates 10 new pirate crews. Zeppelin made a sound of disgust. So you would let 500 innocents die for your principles? We would let 500 die to save 5,000, Elena said. Humans think about the future, not just today. The debate continued for hours. Elena felt tired and alone. She knew the other species thought humans were cold and cruel, but they did not understand the math of evil. While the council argued, Captain Steve Parker studied star charts on his ship. The Iron Will was a human destroyer built for war. It had thick armor and powerful guns. Parker had been hunting pirates for 15 years. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Roy Jenkins, pointed at the screen. Sir, we have tracked Crimson Dawn movements for the past 6 months. They have bases in 17 different systems. Parker nodded. Unlike other species, humans had been preparing for this day. While the council talked about peace, human intelligence services watched and learned. They knew where every pirate ship hid. They knew the names of every pirate captain. They knew which planet sold supplies to criminals. How many ships do they have? Parker asked. 43 combat vessels, maybe 60 support ships. About 3,000 pirates total. Parker smiled. The Crimson Dawn thought they were safe in their hidden bases. They thought the galaxy was too civilized to hunt them down. They were wrong. Send a message to Admiral Hudson, Parker said.
Tell him we're ready to begin. On the bridge of the Silent Hunter, Captain Amy Foster checked her stealth systems.
Her ship was invisible to most sensors. She had been watching pirate movements in the Broken Stars Nebula for 3 days. "Captain," said her communications officer, "we are receiving angry messages from the Council." "What do they want?" "They demand that we withdraw and join the negotiations." Amy laughed. The Council still did not understand. They thought this was about saving hostages. It was not. This was about ending piracy forever. "Any reply, Captain?" Amy thought about her orders. Admiral Hudson had been clear. Show no mercy. Give no quarter. Teach the galaxy that attacking humans was suicide. "Tell them we do not negotiate with killers," Amy said. "Tell them we will save who we can and destroy the rest." In the depths of space, more human ships gathered. The heavy cruiser Righteous Fury under Captain Dan Price. The assault carrier New Liberty under Captain Kate Wilson. Fast attack ships, stealth frigates, and mobile repair stations. The humans were building a fleet. Other species watched with growing alarm. The hegemony sent warnings about escalation. The Peaceful Union offered to mediate. The Council passed resolutions demanding restraint. The humans ignored them all. On the Star of Peace, the hostages huddled in dark cargo holds. Vexthul had locked them away without food or clean water. Children cried for their parents. Old Zenithians grew sick from the poor air. Vexthul himself paced the bridge of his flagship. He was a Kithari, tall and covered in red scales. His people were warriors who respected only strength. He had built the Crimson Dawn into the most feared pirate fleet in the galaxy. "The Council will pay," he told his lieutenant. "They always pay." "What about the humans?" Vexthul snarled. "Humans are weak. They talk about principles, but they will break when they see hostage bodies." He was wrong. Captain Jake Morrison received new orders from Earth Command. The message was short and simple. "Commence Operation Cleansing Fire, no survivors." Jake gathered his officers in the briefing room. They studied the tactical displays. 17 pirate bases spread across 4 star systems. Hundreds of criminals who had chosen to prey on the innocent. "The assault begins in 6 hours," Jake said. "Every base will be hit at the same time. No warnings, no mercy, no negotiations." Lieutenant Amy Foster raised her hand. "Sir, what about collateral damage?" Jake looked at her. Amy was young and still believed in clean wars. She would learn. "There will be casualties," Jake said. "Innocent people will die. But if we do nothing, thousands more will die in future attacks. Sometimes the price of peace is paid in blood." The officers nodded. They understood their duty. Across the galaxy, human ships moved into position. Captains checked their weapons. Marines loaded their gear. Engineers prepared boarding equipment. In the council chambers, Elena received an urgent message. It was from Captain Morrison. "Dr. Rodriguez, in 1 hour the human fleet will begin attacking all known Crimson Dawn positions. I suggest you tell the council to stay out of our way." Elena felt her heart stop. "Jake, you cannot do this. Think about the hostages." "I am thinking about them. I am also thinking about all the future hostages who will never be taken if we end this threat now. The council will never forgive this." Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Elena, ask yourself this question. In the past 10 years, how many ships have been taken by pirates? How many families have been torn apart? How many innocents have died while the council talked about peace?" Elena knew the numbers. 300 ships, 15,000 hostages. Most survived, but many died during captivity or rescue attempts. "The council saved most of them," Elena said. "And how many would have lived if there were no pirates at all?" Elena had no answer. "The humans have made their choice," Jake said. "We will not live in a galaxy where evil is profitable. If that makes us monsters in your eyes, so be it." The communication ended. Elena sat alone in her office, staring at the wall. Outside her window, she could see the lights of other ships. Diplomats and politicians and peacemakers, all trying to find a gentle solution to a violent problem. But sometimes, Elena realized there was no gentle solution. In his command center, Admiral Hudson watched the tactical display. Green dots showed human ships moving into attack positions. Red dots marked pirate bases and patrol routes. "All ships report ready," said his aide. Hudson thought about the hostages on the Star of Peace. 500 innocent people who trusted the galaxy to save them. But the galaxy had taught their kidnappers that taking hostages was good business. Today, humans would teach a different lesson. "Begin the attack," Hudson said. Across 4 star systems, human warships opened fire. The hunt had begun. The first attack came without warning. Captain Steve Parker's ship, the Iron Will, dropped out of hyperspace above the pirate base on Korath Minor. The base was built into an asteroid, hidden from most sensors. But humans had been watching it for months. "Target the docking bays," Parker ordered. No one leaves. The Iron Will's guns fired. Bright beams of energy cut through space and struck the asteroid. The pirate base shuddered and split apart. Ships trying to escape exploded before they could activate their engines. "Sir, we are detecting a distress signal," reported the communications officer. "From who?" "The pirates. They are trying to surrender." Parker remembered his orders. "No quarter, no mercy. No survivors. Ignore it," he said. "Continue firing." Across the galaxy, 16 other human ships struck pirate bases at the same moment. The attacks were precise and deadly. Bases that had existed for decades disappeared in minutes. On the bridge of the Righteous Fury, Captain Dan Price watched his missiles destroy a pirate shipyard. The facility had been building new attack ships for the Crimson Dawn. Now it was a cloud of burning metal. "Captain," said his weapons officer, "some pirates are using civilians as shields." Price looked at the scanner. A group of pirates had gathered captured merchants around their command center. They thought humans would hesitate to fire on innocents. They were wrong. "Those merchants are already dead," Price said. "We cannot save them, but we can prevent this from happening again." The Righteous Fury fired. The pirate command center vanished in a ball of fire. The merchants died with their captors, but future merchants would live because these pirates could never attack again. In the council chambers, alarms rang out. Emergency messages flooded in from across the galaxy. Ambassador Zeflin stood up with terror in her eyes. "The humans are attacking everything," she said. "They are not trying to save the hostages. They are just killing." Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched the reports with a heavy heart. She knew this would happen. She had tried to warn the council, but they did not understand how humans thought about war. "How many pirate bases are under attack?" asked Counselor Kickstar. "All of them," Elena said. "Every known Crimson Dawn position is being hit at the same time." "This is madness," said Ambassador Kretak. "What about the hostages on the Star of Peace?" Elena had no answer. She knew Jake Morrison and the other human captains. They would try to save the hostages if they could, but they would not let 500 people stop them from ending the pirate threat forever. On the Star of Peace, Vex Thul received reports of the attacks. His red scales turned dark with rage. In 2 hours, the humans had destroyed half of his fleet. Bases that had taken years to build were gone. "Send a message to the council," he ordered. "Tell them I will kill 10 hostages every hour until the attacks stop." His lieutenant looked nervous. "Sir, what if they do not stop?" Vexthul snarled. "Then we kill them all. The humans will learn that we do not fear their threats." He was about to discover that humans did not fear his threats either. The message reached the council within minutes. Video footage showed bound Zenithian civilians, their 4 eyes wide with terror. Children clung to their parents. Old diplomats tried to look brave. "We must tell the humans to stop," said Zeflin. "These innocents will die." Elena opened a channel to Admiral Hudson. His face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm and cold. "Admiral, the pirates are threatening to execute hostages," Elena said. "I know. You must stop the attacks." Hudson was quiet for a moment. "Dr. Rodriguez, how many innocents has the Crimson Dawn killed in the past year?" Elena checked her records. 843 confirmed deaths during raids. "How many hostages died during failed negotiations?" 112. "How many hostages died during rescue attempts?" Elena felt sick. 207, Hudson nodded. "So even when negotiations work, people die. The only difference is that the pirates live to kill again. But these specific hostages will be avenged," Hudson said. "Every pirate who harms them will die slowly." The communication ended. Elena stared at the blank screen. The humans had made their choice. They would let some innocents die today to save many innocents tomorrow. Captain Amy Foster brought the Silent Hunter out of stealth near the Star of Peace. The captured ship was heavily guarded by pirate vessels. Foster counted 12 enemy ships, all armed and ready for battle. "This is Captain Foster to Admiral Hudson," she said. "I have eyes on the target. What is your assessment, Captain?" Foster studied the tactical display. The pirates had positioned their ships around the Star of Peace like a shield. Any attack would risk hitting the hostages. "It will be difficult, sir. High probability of civilian casualties." "Understood. You are authorized to proceed." Foster felt something cold in her stomach. She had signed up to fight pirates, not to risk innocent lives. But she understood the bigger picture. If the pirates learned that taking hostages protected them from attack, they would take more hostages. All ships, this is Silent Hunter. Attack pattern Delta. Focus fire on military targets. The human ships decloaked and opened fire. The pirates were caught by surprise. 3 ships exploded before they could return fire. But the remaining ships fought back hard. Energy beams lit up space. Missiles crossed the darkness like angry stars. The Silent Hunter shook as enemy fire struck her shields. Direct hit on the Star of Peace, reported the tactical officer. Hull breach on Deck 7. Foster gritted her teeth. Hostages were dying, but the pirates had chosen to use them as shields. The responsibility for their deaths lay with the kidnappers, not the rescuers. Continue the attack, she ordered. On the Star of Peace, Vexthul watched the battle through the ship's cameras. Human vessels moved like wolves around his fleet. They fought with a precision and ruthlessness that shocked him. Sir, we have lost 7 ships, his lieutenant reported. Should we try to escape? Vexthul looked at the monitor showing the hostages. They were huddled in terror as the ship shook from weapon impacts. Some were already dead from hull breaches and system failures. Bring me a hostage, he ordered. I will show the humans what happens when they cross the Crimson Dawn. 2 pirates dragged a young Zenithian female to the bridge. She was barely more than a child, with soft blue skin and frightened eyes. Vexthul grabbed her and held a blade to her throat. Human ships, he broadcast on all frequencies. Stop your attack or this hostage dies. The response came immediately. It was Captain Foster's voice, cold and clear. Kill her. Vexthul blinked in surprise. What? Kill her, Foster repeated. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not bargain with murderers. Do what you want with your hostages. We will do what we want with your ships. Vexthul felt fear for the first time in years. These humans were not like other species. They did not value individual lives above all else. They thought about the future, about principles, about consequences. He killed the hostage anyway. Her blood stained the bridge floor. Then he ordered his men to kill 10 more. The humans kept attacking. Captain Roy Jenkins led a boarding party onto a damaged pirate ship. His Marines moved through the corridors with their weapons ready. They found crew quarters, weapons storage, and a prison section with captured civilians. Sir, we have 23 rescued hostages, reported Sergeant Lucy Green. They are in bad condition but alive. Jenkins nodded. Secure them and continue the sweep. I want every pirate on this ship dead. They found the ship's commander hiding in an escape pod. The Cathari warrior tried to surrender, offering information about other bases in exchange for his life. Jenkins shot him without listening to the offer. As the battle continued, more pirate ships exploded. The humans showed no mercy and accepted no surrender. They had come to end the Crimson Dawn forever, and they would not be stopped by threats or pleading. Vexthul watched his fleet die around him. These humans fought like machines, cold and efficient. They did not hesitate to risk hostage lives. They did not pause when enemies tried to surrender. They were the most terrifying warriors he had ever faced. Sir, we have lost 11 ships, his lieutenant said. Only us and the bloody Talon remain. Vexthul looked at the tactical display. His once mighty fleet was debris. His hidden bases were destroyed. His empire of fear was ending, but he still had hostages. He still had one last card to play. Prepare the self-destruct, he ordered. If we cannot win, we will take the hostages with us. The lieutenant stared at him. Sir, that will kill everyone on the ship. Including us. Vexthul smiled with all his sharp teeth. The humans think they are clever. They think they can save some hostages and destroy us too. Let us see how they feel when they save no one. But the humans had been listening to his communications. They had been preparing for this moment. Captain Foster's voice came over the radio one last time. Vexthul, this is your final warning. Surrender now and you will die quickly. Resist further and you will die slowly. Vexthul reached for the self-destruct button. As his hand moved toward the control, the Star of Peace shuddered. Human Marines were cutting through the hull with plasma torches. The final battle was about to begin. Lieutenant Alex Turner cut through the Star of Peace hull with his plasma torch. Behind him, 23 human Marines waited in their combat suits. They had trained for this mission their entire careers, boarding a hostile ship, saving hostages, killing pirates, breach in 30 seconds, Turner said into his radio. On the Silent Hunter, Captain Amy Foster watched the operation through her Marines' helmet cameras. The Star of Peace was dying. Hull breaches leaked air into space. Emergency lights flashed in the darkness. But somewhere inside, hostages were still alive. "Turner, you have multiple enemy contacts moving toward your position," Foster said. "Understood, Captain. We go in hot." The plasma torch finished its work. A section of hull fell away, creating an opening into the ship. Turner and his Marines pushed through into a maintenance corridor. The air was thin and cold. "Movement ahead," whispered Sergeant Lucy Green. "At least 6 hostiles." Turner made hand signals to his team. They moved forward in perfect silence. At the corridor junction, they found the pirates waiting in ambush. The firefight was brief and brutal. Energy weapons lit up the narrow space. 2 Marines went down, but all 6 pirates died. Turner checked his fallen men. 1 was dead. The other would live if they got him medical care soon. "Keep moving," Turner ordered. "The hostages are 3 decks down." On the bridge of the Star of Peace, Vexthul watched security cameras as human Marines fought through his ship. They moved like professional soldiers, not like the mercenaries and thugs he was used to fighting. Every step was planned. Every shot was aimed. Every decision was made without emotion. "Sir, they will reach the hostage compartments in 15 minutes, his lieutenant said. Vexthul looked at the self-destruct controls. He could end this now, kill everyone on the ship and deny the humans their victory, but something stopped him. These humans had destroyed his entire fleet. They had shown no mercy to his people. They had refused every offer to negotiate. But they were still trying to save the hostages. Maybe they truly believed in their principles. Maybe they would rather lose everything than compromise with evil. "Bring the hostages to the bridge," Vexthul ordered. All of them. His remaining crew started moving the Zenithian civilians through the ship's corridors. The hostages were weak from hunger and fear. Many needed help walking. Children cried as they were pushed forward by armed pirates. Turner's Marines encountered the group in the main corridor. 20 pirates escorting 342 hostages. The civilians were being used as human shields, just as the Marines had expected. "I have a clear shot on the target," Green whispered. She was positioned behind a bulkhead with her sniper rifle aimed at a pirate officer. "Negative," Turner said. "Too many civilians in the line of fire." The pirates had learned from watching other human operations. They kept the hostages between themselves and any possible attack angles. It was smart tactics. It was also useless against humans who had spent months planning for this exact situation. "Execute Plan Omega," Turner said. The Marines had practiced this assault dozens of times on similar ships. They knew every corridor, every room, every possible hiding place. More importantly, they had weapons designed for close-quarters combat with hostages present. Green fired her rifle. The energy beam passed through the pirate's chest and stopped, its power carefully calibrated to avoid over-penetration. The pirate fell dead without the shot harming anyone behind him. Other Marines fired from different angles. Each shot was precise. Each target was isolated. In 30 seconds, all 20 pirates were dead without a single hostage being harmed. The Zenithian civilians huddled together in fear. They did not know if these new arrivals were rescuers or just different captors. "We are human Marines," Turner announced. "You are safe now." An elderly Zenithian diplomat stepped forward. His name was Kevtar, and he had spent years working for peace between species. "Are you here to negotiate our release?" he asked. Turner looked at him through his helmet visor. "No, sir. We are here to kill pirates." The Marines secured the civilians and moved them to a safe compartment. Then they continued their advance toward the bridge. They had one more target to eliminate. Vexthul waited for them with his remaining crew, 12 pirates against 23 Marines. The outcome was certain. But the Crimson Dawn leader wanted to die fighting. The Marines reached the bridge and found the doors sealed. Turner placed explosive charges while his team took cover. The blast echoed through the ship. As the smoke cleared, the Marines rushed through the opening. They found the pirates waiting behind improvised barricades. Weapons fire filled the bridge as both sides fought for control. Green was hit in the shoulder but kept fighting. Turner took a blast to his chest armor that cracked his ribs. 2 more Marines fell before the pirates' positions were overrun. In the end, only Vexthul remained alive. He crouched behind the captain's chair, bleeding from multiple wounds. His weapon was empty. His crew was dead. Turner approached with his rifle aimed at the pirate leader. "Any last words?" Turner asked. Vexthal looked up at the human marine. For the first time in his life, he felt something like respect for his enemies. You fight without honor, he said. You risk innocent lives for your principles. Turner thought about the Marines who had died in this assault. He thought about the hostages who had suffered for months. He thought about all the future victims who would never be taken because the Crimson Dawn was ending today. We fight without compromise, Turner said. There is a difference. He pulled the trigger. On the Silent Hunter, Captain Foster watched the final reports come in. The Star of Peace was secured. 342 hostages had been rescued alive. 23 had died during the long captivity or the final assault. Across the galaxy, similar reports arrived from other human ships. 17 pirate bases destroyed, 43 combat ships eliminated, over 3,000 pirates dead, 0 survivors, 0 negotiations, 0 compromises, but the cost had been high. 47 human Marines had died in the assaults, several ships had taken damage, and most importantly, innocent hostages had died because humans chose to fight rather than pay ransom. In the council chambers, Dr. Elena Rodriguez received the casualty reports. The numbers were brutal but clear. The Crimson Dawn no longer existed as an organization. Every base was destroyed. Every ship was debris. Every leader was dead. Ambassador Zephlin stood up with tears in her silver eyes. Was it worth it? Was destroying these criminals worth the lives of innocent hostages? Elena looked at the data on her screen. In the past year, the Crimson Dawn had killed 800 people during raids and executions. They had held thousands more for ransom. They had terrorized entire sectors of space. Now they were gone forever. Ask me in 10 years, Elena said, when we see how many ships are not attacked. How many families are not torn apart? How many children are not taken from their parents? Counselor Kickstar of the Vorthan Empire studied his own calculations. The statistical analysis is complex. Short-term casualties are higher with the human approach, but long-term projections show significant reductions in pirate activity. So you approve of what they did? Asked Ambassador Kretok. Kickstar was quiet for a long moment. I do not approve, but I cannot argue with the mathematics. On Earth, Admiral Hudson received reports from all his ship commanders. Operation Cleansing Fire was complete. Every target had been eliminated. The Crimson Dawn was history, but Hudson felt no satisfaction. War was never something to celebrate, even when it was necessary. Good people had died today. Innocent hostages had perished alongside their captors. The humans had chosen to accept those deaths rather than reward the criminals who caused them. History would judge whether that choice was right or wrong. His aide entered the command center with a message pad. Sir, the Council is demanding a formal explanation of our actions. Hudson read the message. The Council wanted to know why humans had acted without authorization. They wanted assurances that such attacks would not happen again. They wanted humans to promise to follow galactic law in the future. Hudson deleted the message without responding. Outside his window, he could see other ships returning from the battle. Damaged vessels limped home with their wounded crews. Transport ships carried the rescued hostages to safety. Memorial ships prepared to honor the dead. The galaxy had learned something today. It had learned that humans did not believe in acceptable casualties. They did not negotiate with evil. They did not compromise with killers. Some species would hate them for this lesson. Others would fear them. A few might even respect them. But none would ever doubt their resolve again. In a medical bay on Haven Prime, a young Zenithian girl opened her eyes. She had been one of the hostages on the Star of Peace. She did not remember much about the rescue, just the sound of weapons fire and human voices telling her she was safe. A human doctor checked her vital signs. His name was Ben Clark, and he had volunteered to help treat the rescued civilians. Where are my parents? The girl asked. Dr. Clark looked sad. I am sorry. They did not make it. The girl started to cry. Dr. Clark sat beside her and held her hand. Why did this happen? She asked. Dr. Clark thought about how to explain. How do you tell a child that evil exists in the galaxy? How do you explain that sometimes good people die because others choose to be cruel? 6 months after the destruction of the Crimson Dawn, Captain Nick Roberts sat on the bridge of the Pioneer's Dream and watched a miracle happen. The exploration ship had just received a distress call from a hegemony merchant vessel under attack by pirates. But when the Pioneer's Dream dropped out of hyperspace, The attacking ships immediately stopped firing. Unknown vessels. "This is Captain Roberts of the human ship Pioneer's Dream," Nick broadcast. "Explain your actions." The response came quickly. Too quickly? The pirate commander's voice shook with fear. "Human ship, we surrender. We are withdrawing immediately. Please do not fire." Nick watched in amazement as 6 pirate vessels turned and fled at maximum speed. They left behind the damaged merchant ship but took nothing. They asked for nothing. They simply ran. "Captain Roberts, this is Merchant Captain Yildar," came another transmission. "Thank you for your assistance. The pirates fled when they detected your ship." Nick had done nothing except arrive. He had not fired a shot. He had not made any threats. The mere presence of a human ship had been enough to end the attack. This was the new reality in the galaxy. The lesson of the Crimson Dawn had spread to every criminal organization. Fighting humans meant death. Surrender to other species meant prison and eventual release. But surrender to humans was no guarantee of survival either. Pirates had learned to avoid humans entirely. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Council and presented her annual security report. The numbers told an incredible story. "Pirate attacks are down 78%, she announced. Hostage situations have decreased by 86%. Trade route security has improved by 400%. Ambassador Zeflin raised her hand. "What about human military activity?" Elena smiled. "Also down significantly. Human ships rarely need to engage pirates anymore. The deterrent effect has proven remarkably effective." Counselor Kickstar studied his datapad. "The statistics are impressive. But I wonder about the psychological impact on criminal organizations." Elena nodded. "Intelligence reports suggest that many pirate groups have disbanded entirely. Others have moved to sectors far from human space. Some have even attempted to become legitimate businesses. The transformation was not limited to pirates. Criminal syndicates that had operated for centuries were shutting down. Black market dealers were closing their operations. Even corrupt officials were resigning from their positions. The galaxy had learned that humans did not distinguish between different types of criminals. Anyone who preyed on innocence was a potential target. On the space station New Babylon, a meeting was taking place in a hidden chamber. The leaders of 12 different criminal organizations had gathered to discuss the human problem. "They are destroying our way of life," said Grixval, head of the Outer Rim Smugglers Guild. "My people are afraid to take any job that might anger them." "At least your people are alive," replied Kathnora of the Shadow Brokers. "The humans wiped out the Crimson Dawn completely. Not one survivor." The criminals talked for hours about the new threat. They made plans to avoid human space. They discussed ways to identify human ships before attacking. They created lists of species that humans were known to protect. What they did not discuss was stopping their criminal activities entirely. Most of them could not imagine an honest life. But some could. Captain Frank Bell of the human ship Vigilant Justice received an unusual message. It came from a former pirate named Zektar, who had commanded a small raiding fleet in the frontier worlds. "Captain Bell, I wish to surrender my ships and crews to human authorities. We are tired of running. We are tired of being afraid. We want to try a different life." Bell was suspicious. Pirate surrenders were often tricks designed to get close to human ships. "What guarantee do I have that this is genuine?" Bell asked. "None," Zektar replied. "But if we wanted to attack you, we would not announce it first. We have seen what happens to pirates who fight humans." The surrender took place at the neutral station Deep Space Nine. Zektar brought 43 ships and over 800 former pirates. They laid down their weapons and submitted to human justice. Bell expected the prisoners to be angry or defiant. Instead, many seemed relieved. "Why did you surrender?" Bell asked Zektar during the interrogation. The former pirate looked tired. "Because we realized we could never win. The galaxy has changed. There is no place for people like us anymore. You could have moved to unexplored space, found new targets." Zektar shook his head. "And spent the rest of our lives looking over our shoulders, wondering when human ships would find us? That is not living. That is just delaying death." Bell studied the alien criminal. "What do you want now?" "Work, honest work. A chance to build something instead of destroying it." The rehabilitation program for former pirates became a model for the entire galaxy. Some former criminals could not adapt to legal life and had to remain in prison, but many others found new purposes. Sektar became a security consultant using his knowledge of pirate tactics to help merchant ships protect themselves. Other former criminals became mechanics, traders, and even teachers. The galaxy was learning that the threat of overwhelming force could accomplish what centuries of negotiation could not. On the agricultural world of Haven Prime, the young Zenithian girl who had been rescued from the Star of Peace was growing up in a human foster family. Her name was Lyravan, and she had been adopted by Dr. Ben Clark and his wife after her parents died in captivity. Lyra was now 8 years old and spoke perfect English with a slight human accent. She attended school with human children and played the same games they did, but she remembered her time as a hostage. She remembered the fear and the hunger and the darkness. She also remembered the day the human Marines came for her. "Dad," she asked Dr. Clark one evening, "why did the humans save us when the council said it was too dangerous?" Dr. Clark thought carefully about his answer. Lyra was old enough to understand complicated ideas, but young enough to be hurt by them. "Because sometimes doing the right thing is dangerous," he said. "But doing the wrong thing is worse." "What would have been the wrong thing?" "Leaving you with the pirates. Paying them money to let you go. Teaching them that kidnapping people was profitable." Lyra nodded. "So they chose to save me instead of keeping themselves safe?" "They chose to save you and all the other children who might be kidnapped in the future." That night, Lyra wrote a letter to the human Marines who had rescued her. She did not know their names or where they were stationed, but Dr. Clark promised to make sure the letter reached them. The letter was simple. It said, "Thank you for being brave when other people wanted to be safe. Thank you for saving me and for making sure no other children have to be scared like I was." Copies of the letter were distributed to every human military unit. It became a reminder of why they fought and why their principles mattered. In the council chambers, Ambassador Trelvin of the Hegemony presented a surprising proposal. "I move that the council officially adopt the human approach to hostage situations," he said. "No negotiations with terrorists. No ransoms paid to criminals. No compromises with evil." The chamber erupted in debate. Species that had spent centuries perfecting the art of diplomatic solutions were being asked to abandon their methods. "This is madness," said Ambassador Kretak. "We will return to the dark ages of constant warfare." "The dark ages never ended," replied Elena Rodriguez. "We just pretended they did. We convinced ourselves that negotiating with criminals was civilized. But civilization is not about being polite to evil. It is about protecting the innocent." The vote was close. 24 species supported the new policy. 23 opposed it. It passed by a single vote. The galaxy had officially adopted the human doctrine of no compromise with evil, but not everyone was happy with the change. In the deepest regions of unexplored space, the surviving criminal organizations gathered their forces. They had fled from human space, but they had not given up their way of life. "The humans think they have won," said a voice in the darkness. "They think their principles have made the galaxy safe. But evil cannot be destroyed. It can only be moved." New pirate fleets were forming in the outer darkness. Criminal empires were rising in uncharted systems. The war between good and evil was far from over. But now the galaxy knew which side humans would choose. They had seen the price humans were willing to pay for their principles. They had witnessed the lengths humans would go to protect the innocent. Some species feared this knowledge. Others found hope in it, and in the space between the stars, evil learned to be afraid. Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to admiral, stood in his new office on Earth and looked out at the fleet assembled in orbit. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species, all working together to patrol the galaxy and protect the innocent. The Crimson Dawn was gone. Other pirate groups were scattered and weakened. The galaxy was safer than it had been in centuries. But Morrison knew this was not the end. Evil was patient. It would adapt and find new ways to threaten the innocent. When that day came, humans would be ready. His aide brought him a message from the Outer Rim. Another pirate attack had been reported. Another distress call had been sent. Morrison smiled and activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. We have work to do.